Imagine a perfect little house on a quiet suburban street. Sunshine glinting off the windows, a feeling of total peace. This is our house. Inside, 2 months ago, everything was pristine. Maestro, a sleek and elegant cat, meticulously arranges cushions on the sofa. For him, it's perfection, a silent sonata in the key of beige. The house agrees with a contented creak, but then the front door bursts open. In barrels Rocky, a whirlwind of pure doggy joy. He slides, crashes, and shakes, sending mud and drool everywhere. The perfect cushions fly. The clean walls are now a modern art masterpiece of muck. Rocky, oblivious, shoves a muddy paw in Maestro's face, boasting about his adventure. Maestro is frozen in horror. A single drop of drool falls from a lampshade, and the house itself lets out a distressed groan. The sonata is ruined. It is now a cacophony of filth. And so, the war began. Rocky would joyfully dig at his bed, creating a fluff snowstorm that Maestro, wearing a tiny mask, tried to vacuum out of the air. Rocky would drink water with the force of a fire hose, flooding the kitchen, while Maestro built elaborate aqueducts out of books to divert the flow. With every chaotic act, the house suffered. A new crack in the plaster, a flickering light, and outside, the weather grew stormier and stormier, mirroring the chaos within. The final straw came during a massive thunderstorm. The house was already creaking with anxiety. Rocky, terrified of the thunder, was a dervish of panic. He tried to hide under tables, burrow into the sofa, ripping and crashing as he went. Maestro, perched on a high bookshelf, tried to calm him. But with one final, gigantic thunderclap, Rocky yelped, rocketed across the room, and leaped onto a huge, antique grandfather clock. In slow motion, the clock teetered and fell with a catastrophic crash. Gears and splinters exploded. The house let out a deep, sad, shuddering sigh, and the lights went out. When an emergency light flickered on, it illuminated the wreckage. Maestro, defeated, looked at the ruins of his perfect world. "Enough," he said. "From this moment, we partition." The next day, the house was split in two. A red string divided everything. Maestro's side was impeccable and silent. Rocky's side was a mess, but he seemed sad, trying his best to be neat. The house was no longer peaceful. A heavy, unhappy stillness hung in the air, and a gloomy drizzle fell constantly outside. That night, a new sound echoed through the halls, a scratching in the walls. Suddenly, a vent cover popped open, and a smug, beady-eyed raccoon slinked out. This wasn't joyful chaos, like Rocky's. This was deliberate, malicious theft. It started ransacking the kitchen. Rocky's protective instincts kicked in, but he skidded to a halt at the red line, looking desperately at Maestro. Maestro, seeing the raccoon defiling his kitchen, was furious. The raccoon hissed, waving a stolen spoon like a trophy. And in that moment, a silent understanding passed between dog and cat. The red string no longer mattered. Rocky let out a determined growl. Maestro's eyes gleamed. He had a plan. What followed was a beautiful, chaotic ballet of cooperation. Rocky barked and chased, herding the raccoon with thunderous joy, the thing he did best. Meanwhile, Maestro, using his stealth and intelligence, set traps. He rolled tennis balls under the raccoon's feet and swung from a curtain cord to drop a laundry basket. They were perfectly in sync. Rocky's strength and Maestro's strategy. The overwhelmed raccoon made a dash for the vent, but Maestro was there to block it. Trapped, the raccoon dropped the spoon and scurried away. Victory. They stood panting, side by side in the wrecked kitchen. The red string was trampled and forgotten. They looked at the mess they had made together, mess bigger than any Rocky had ever made alone, and they both started to laugh. By dawn, they were cleaning. Together, Rocky used his tail as a dust mop, while Maestro directed the cleanup. The house wasn't pristine anymore. It was lived in. The cushions were crooked but cozy. The muddy paw print on the painting, Maestro decided it added dynamism. Rocky gently dropped his favorite slobber-covered ball at Maestro's feet, not as a challenge, but as a gift. Maestro delicately tapped it with his paw, peace offering accepted. Outside, the sun finally broke through the clouds, streaming into the house. The house itself let out a series of warm, contented creaks, the happy sound of a full, loving home. It wasn't a silent sonata anymore, but a vibrant, joyful, slightly off-key duet. As the sun rose, dog and cat sat side by side, looking out the window. Rocky rested his big head on Maestro's, and for the first time, Maestro didn't pull away. He leaned into it.